today we will discuss about JVM. So JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. Okay, till now we were just listening to the stories that we write a source program with a .java extension. Then we use our Java C compiler to compile it and we get a bytecode file. What is the extension of bytecode file?
Java.
No. Extension of source code file is .java. Extension of
class.
Class.
Ma'am. Yes, the extension of bytecode file is .class. So now this .class file, which we call as bytecode, will be passed on to JVM, and JVM is the one who is going to interpret that class file and execute it. Okay, so how JVM is doing that? For that, we need to do postmortem of JVM. What is there in JVM architecture? How things are happening inside JVM. Now, please all of you start making notes in your notebooks. Very important question from the interview room. What is the difference between JVM, JDK and JRE? Okay, they will ask you such questions. What is the difference between JDK, JVM and JRE? So let's understand what is the difference. Can you see the diagram in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have a JDK, which we call as Java Development Kit. JDK means Java Development Kit. So if this is my laptop and I want to run and I want to write any Java program, I need to install Java Development Kit in my system. Okay, JDK has to be there if you want to develop as well as run the Java programs. So if you are a software developer, will you only run the program or you will write and run the program?
Write and run.
If I am a software developer, I will write as well as run the Java program. So JDK is my requirement. JDK is a Java development kit where the developers can develop the Java programs and they can run the Java programs. Okay. Now what is JRE? JRE is a subset of JDK, as we can see from the diagram, and JRE is required for only running the Java programs. That means if only JRE is there in your system, you can run the Java program, but you cannot develop the Java program. So if you are a client who has no knowledge about the development, who has no knowledge about the programming, then JRE is enough for you. You don't require JDK. JDK is required for development and running of Java programs, but JRE is required only for running the Java programs. Clear? Now, after JRE, please note it down in your notebooks. Write down JDK is equal to development plus running of Java programs, and JRE is equal to running of Java programs. So JDK is something that is required by the software developers who are interested in developing Java programs and running them, whereas JRE is required by the clients who are interested in just running the Java programs. Am I clear with these two terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this question is very important from interviewer point of view. Now, what is the JVM? Java Virtual Machine. So JRE implements JVM. JVM is a subset of JRE. So through the diagram, you can easily figure out that JVM is a subset of JRE. JRE is a subset of JDK. So whenever the interviewer asks you, you have to answer. The first line should be JVM is a subset of JRE. If he is asking what is JVM. If he is asking what is JRE, you have to say JRE is a subset of JDK. And then you have to proceed. Now, let's understand what is JVM. So, are we there in classroom? Is it a real classroom? We all are there for the purpose of attending this session. So I am calling it a virtual classroom. Is it a real classroom or virtual classroom?
Virtual.
Virtual.
The way we are connected to each other, we are part of a virtual classroom because you cannot see a blackboard here. You cannot see chalk, you cannot see marker, benches, wall, ceiling, fan, lights, nothing is there. It's not a physical classroom. It is a virtual classroom, right? But whatever
Yes, ma'am.
happens in a physical classroom, same thing is happening in virtual classroom also. If it would have been a physical classroom, I'll come to your class, I will teach you, you will learn, we will talk, and same thing we are doing in the virtual classroom also. Is there any difference in operation?
No.
Even if it is a virtual classroom, we are doing the same thing what we would have done in a physical classroom. Okay. Similarly, virtual machines are also software simulation of a physical machine that operates exactly like a physical machine. But it is not a physical machine, it is a virtual machine. You cannot touch it, it's not tangible. Okay, if your laptop is there, your PC is there, that is a physical machine, you can touch it, it takes space, it is occupying space on your table. But if a virtual machine is there, you cannot touch it, it is not going to occupy any space, but it will work exactly like a physical machine. The way this virtual classroom is exactly looking like a physical classroom. Okay, so Java virtual machine is a, please note down in their notebooks, Java virtual machine is a software simulation of a machine which operates exactly like a physical machine. Am I clear to all of you what is JVM? JVM is a Java virtual machine which is a software simulation of a physical machine and it operates exactly like a physical machine. Now what it operates? What do we do with JVM? So let's understand what we do with JVM. I am clear till this point. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me use a marker. If you write any program in Java, we will say, let's say I have written a program P. So P.Java, I will save my program with Java extension. What is this? This is my source file. We call it source file P.Java. Now this P.Java I will compile. Okay. So who will compile? Java compiler will compile. What is the name of Java compiler? Java C. Okay. So I have created one program P.Java and we will send it to the compiler. Now what compiler will do? Compiler will create a bytecode file. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
These steps, you know, these are very basic steps. Okay. Java bytecode file I will get. We call it Java class file. Okay, please ignore my handwriting. I'm struggling as Blackboard is not there. We are struggling in this virtual classroom. If it is a physical classroom, we can write on board. If someone is talking, we can throw the duster also. Those privileges are there. Now I can't throw duster on anyone. So you have written a program in Java, you have saved it with the extension .java, You send it to the compiler has compiled the program, and your bytecode file is ready. What we call it? Java class file. So the Java class file name would be p.class. Same name with what you have created the source file. Is it clear till this point?
Yes. Yes,
So
ma'am.
what compiler has done? Compiler has converted your p.java file into p.class file. Now, this p.class file will be sent to this man sitting here. Who is sitting there?
JVM.
JVM.
JVM. Okay. Your bytecode file, your class file will be forwarded to JVM. What JVM will do? JVM will convert it into machine language. But is it the only thing that JVM is doing? No. JVM is doing a lot of things apart from just converting the class file into machine code. So what are those other things? For that, what we have to do now, this JVM, we will do the postmortem of JVM, that what is there, what different components are there inside this JVM. Okay, so I will now show you in detail that what JVM contains. Okay, before that, just remember source code compiled to class file forwarded to JVM. Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so before proceeding, let's understand the definition of JRE, JDK, and JVM. If you want to note down, you can note down in your notebooks also. Please read out the slide. Whatever we have discussed, the same thing has been written. If any important point you are finding in the slide, you can note down in your notebook. Everyone is reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if any time you forget what is JVM, just try to relate it with the example of a virtual and real classroom. That is the reason why I give you examples, so that you will remember it for a long time. Okay? And moreover, if you will explain the interviewer with the same examples, definitely you will make a separate place compared to other candidates who are there for interview. Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now this is what we have inside a JVM. Okay, not everything is important for you because that much details will be asked for either experienced candidates or they are asked in like this Java certifications exams will be there. You know, you can be Oracle certified Java instructor. Some certifications are there. So in those exams, this much detail is required. But you just, I'll give you a very shallow information about how things go inside a JVM. Okay. So we have a class loader at the top. This is happening inside the JVM. Okay. So what is the input for a JVM? What is the input file for the JVM?
Class.
Yes,
Class.
the dot class file is the input that comes to the JVM. So when the input file comes to the JVM, that that class file goes through all these components. So let's understand. At number 1, we have this class loader. Then this is the memory area, which is present inside the JVM. See, physical machine is having memory or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So virtual machine will also have memory, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So just like physical machine, this virtual machine is also having some memory space. And this is the execution engine, which is very much important. Then these are the native method interface, which is also called as JNI, Java Native Interface. And this is Java Native Libraries. So let us understand one by one what is happening. So here the class file will come to the class loader. Okay. Now what the class loader will do? The class loader subsystem. This is a complete system and this is just one subsystem. So the class loader subsystem, you can note down in your notebooks also, class loader subsystem is responsible for 3 things. Class loader subsystem is responsible for 3 things. What are those 3 things? Loading, linking and initialization. Loading, linking and initialization. So when the dot class file will enter JVM, the class loader subsystem will load that class file. It will link it to the libraries that have been mentioned in the program and it will initialize that program. So have you heard of one thing that whenever the Java class is loaded, the static block is executed even before main block? Anyone who is familiar with Java beforehand will understand this thing, that if a Java program is having 2 things, main block and static block, which one is going to execute first?
Main block.
No. If a Java program is having static block and main block, always the static block will execute first. Okay, maybe you have not studied Java in your BTech, but we will understand this topic later in the sessions. So there is one statement which I think you may not understand at this point of time. Static block is executed whenever the class is loaded. This is one statement in Java. So here is what loading is happening. So the moment this class loader is loading, linking and initializing, the static block will execute. Main block will execute here in the execution engine. But at this point of time, the class loader is responsible for 3 things. What are those 3 things? Tell me.
Loading, linking, initialization.
Loading,
Linking,
and
initialization.
Loading, linking, and initialization. So the class loader will load the dot class file, it will link the class file, and it will initialize. So when it initializes, it actually executes the static block if it is present in the Java program. Later, it will go to the memory area. Because it has loaded the class, so it will require some memory. So how many memories you can see? Any Java virtual machine will have these types of memories. Okay, it will have some memory for class area. It will have some memory as heap. JVM will have some memory as stack, some memory as PC register, and some memory as native method stack. So for every type of memory, there is a separate purpose. What purpose? See, this class area is used for storing the class data. So inside the class, what things we have? We have some methods, we have some data members. So for storing the class related data, we use the class area. Why heap is required? For storing the object related data. Okay, every time you create an object in a Java program, it is allocated to heap memory. Whenever you create local variables or you are creating any thread in Java program, it is allocated stack memory. Then for individual threads, we will be having different types of registers. Which thread will be executed? Some registers will be there. If you know computer organization, if you have studied computer organization in your BTech subject, as your BTech subject, then you know what are registers. Okay, we won't discuss registers in detail because that is not relevant from our course point of view. Then again, there will be a native method stack. Again, it is applicable to threads. You don't need to know the details. All you need to know is JVM is having these 5 types of memory spaces. And depending on the requirement, it will allocate the space at the required time. Now, once the memory has been allocated, the execution engine will come into picture and it will execute your .class file. It will execute your .class file. Now, note my words carefully. The execution engine is present in the Java virtual machine. This complete slide is showing your JVM, the inside structure of JVM. That means execution engine is present in JVM. Execution engine is not present in your laptop, in your system. I repeat, execution engine is present in the JVM. It is not present in your local system, in your laptop, in your PC. That is the reason why if you have JVM anywhere, then it will run the Java program. Even if you change the architecture of your laptop, still the program will run. Because someone who is responsible for running the Java program is present in the JVM. It is present in the virtual machine. It is not present in the real machine. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Then sometimes what happens, so execution engine is responsible for the execution of your .class file. We will do the postmortem of execution engine also. Now, what are these two things? Can anybody tell me what is JNI and Java native libraries? See what happens, I tell you. Sometimes if you write a Java program, all the functionalities cannot be accomplished using Java language. So we might require the support of some other programming languages also. Okay, let me give you one example. Do you know Eclipse IDE has been written in Java? Do you know that?
No.
Now you know that.
No, ma'am.
Now you know that Eclipse IDE is written in Java language, but not completely. Most of the part of Eclipse IDE has been written in Java language, but some part is written in some other languages. Why we do that? Because sometimes only one language is not sufficient for us to complete all our functionalities. In that case, we tend to use some other programming language. Let's say I am creating some project using Java, but I want to use operator overloading, or I want to use multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance, though we can implement through interfaces in Java also, but how I would do operator overloading? So what I will do? I'll use C++ along with Java. So whenever we are using a separate language along with Java language, we require this native method interface. Are you getting my point? Every time you are using a separate language along with Java, you require native method interface. Please note down in your notebook, what is native method interface or JNI? We call it JNI also, Java Native Interface. So it is a part of JVM that connects the Java code with the native application and libraries. What are native application and libraries? something which is written in some other language like C, C++, or assembly language, or any other language. Okay, I repeat one more time. Native method interface is part of JVM that connects the Java code to the library or to the code of other language. Now, if that code is using some libraries, that will be stored here, Java native libraries. Suppose you are attaching your Java program to C++ program. So what libraries that C++ program is using, that will be called as Java native library. What are Java native library? These are the libraries which are written in other programming languages and they can be loaded through native method interface. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so what is happening? Let me show you with the help of a marker. We were having a class file. We were having a class file. Okay, how we got this class file, you know. And this this complete diagram is my JVM. What is JVM? Java Virtual Machine. So this dot class file came to JVM. Okay. Now what JVM has done? JVM inserted that dot class file to the class loader subsystem. What class loader subsystem has done? It has done three things: loading, linking, initialization. Okay, so it executed the static block, whatever, it initialized the static variables, everything it has done. Then space has been allocated. This is the memory which has been allocated. That means if it is a class, then class area will be allocated. If it is variable, then the stack space has been allocated. Then dot class file will be executed by the execution engine. So execution engine, what it will do? It will convert into machine program and it will execute. Okay, execute. Execution engine will execute because its name is execution engine, so it has to execute. Now, if your Java program is using some other programming language, then you will get support from these components. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I told you yesterday that Java program is compiled as well as interpreted. But here we can see that I told you it has been compiled. But where did we interpret it? Where is the interpreter? Can anybody tell me? Interpreter. Now inside the execution engine, we are having interpreter. Okay, understood? Now this is the interpreter and here we will be having one more thing, very important thing. What is hotspot Wi-Fi? Hotspot JVM?
Code which is used to run.
Okay, so who will do that? JIT. So just-in-time compiler. And one more thing, garbage collector. Major things I'm telling you. Definitely some more important things will also be there. Okay, this is garbage collector. Okay, is it clear? Inside the execution engine, we have three important things. One is interpreter. The other one is JIT, compiler, just-in-time compiler. And the third thing is garbage collector, because we have automatic garbage collection in Java. What is garbage collection in Java? If I am not using anything inside my house, I will throw it in the garbage. In Java programming also, if you are not using any references to the objects, then it will be thrown to the garbage. So this is your execution engine. Okay, this is your execution engine. So every time the interviewer is asking you anything related to this topic, you don't just speak, you draw and you show them. This is how the flow is. Then definitely they will select you. Okay, so inside the execution engine, we have this interpreter, we have this JIT, and we have this garbage collector. So interpreter will interpret it and it will convert to machine code. Just-in-time compiler will specify if there is a hotspot code. If there is a hotspot code, then that code will be converted into machine code, and every time that method will be called, it won't repeat those steps, reading, interpreting and compiling. It won't repeat what we discussed yesterday. Okay, what JIT compiler will do? It will search for the hotspot code, and the hotspot code will be converted into machine code only once, because that code is something which is hotspot. Everyone is asking for that code. So no need to convert it multiple times into machine code. JIT will convert it into the machine code only once. And here we have the automatic garbage collector. So what would be the output of the execution engine? The machine code, and we will get the output. Okay, so what is the brain of a CPU? Brain of the computer?
CPU.
CPU is called as the brain of the computer. Similarly, execution engine is called as the brain of JVM, the central component of JVM, which is responsible for executing the most important duties. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. If it is clear, please observe this diagram for 1 minute and ask me any doubt if you have. If you want to draw it, you can draw it also. All of you, please observe the slide for 1 minute. If you want to drink water, you want to take some break, you can take. Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so no doubt in JVM architecture. No doubt in this JDK, JRE and JVM. Actually, this is very important because I told you yesterday also, if you join in as a fresher, the interviewer will try to play with the basics, and these are very basic things. And if they ask you about these 3 things, you answer it in a simple way. If they ask you anything about JVM, then you know more than what is required. Okay, you can draw this diagram and you can show it to them. Screen visible again?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So what you have to do is, for writing a program, how Java development process takes place in Notepad. Okay, just for your knowledge, you don't have to remember it, or you have to practice, nothing like that. We will go to command prompt. Okay, so when we write a program in Notepad, we execute it on this command prompt. Now I have one basic program, temp.java. This is a notepad file. Can you see it is a notepad file? You can see the icon.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So what is this? This is a source code. This is a source code. What I have written, we will understand these terms later. But what you need to know is, this is my class. The name of the class is temp. Temporary class I am creating just to show you. The return type, the class temporary is a public class so that it can be accessible from anywhere. That is a access modifier. It's a class. Okay, don't think that you won't understand anything. I am just trying to tell you the development steps. So this is the number one step. The number one step is to write a program. So I have written a program in a notepad file, and in this program I have created a class temp. Inside this class we have the main function, and inside the main function I am printing a message. Hello batch 4 people. So this is my first step. Please check your chat box. Step 1. Write the program. So if you write the program, what you have to do, you have to save this program with .java extension. Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Type Java file, size 137 bytes, and what is the name? temp.java. .java extension. So the source file, the program that we will write, will be saved with .java. Now where this file has been stored? See, this is the path. In which drive it is? Can you tell me?
Java,
D.
Java underscore
D.
course.
Yes, my source file is stored in D drive. Inside D drive, I have a folder Java course. So when you go to command prompt, you have to change the path. In the command prompt, you can see we have C drive, users folder, and Lenovo. So how to change the path? Okay, we will write cd double dot, then it will go back. When I write change directory and double dot, it will go back. So you can see it came out of Lenovo. Now again, if I will execute the same command, it will come out of users. So it came to C drive. Now I have to go to D drive. So I will write D colon. One thing, this is not important, okay? Just for your knowledge, I am telling you that there is a provision of writing Java program in Notepad also. Now in the D drive, we have a folder called Java course. Now I am in the same drive where my source code file is there. Can you see?
Yes.
Ma'am.
So now what I will do? I will compile my program. So what is the compiler command? Java C. What is the name of the source code file? temp.java. See the pointer of the mouse? My source code file is temp.java. So to compile this file, I will write the command javac temp.java. All these things you don't have to do in Eclipse. Just in Notepad, I am telling you how we compile. So if I compile my source code file, what I will get? Can anybody tell me?
Go back.
Class file.
Yes, I will get my class file. So till now, nothing is there in the Java course folder. Once I execute this command, it is executing. My system is very slow. See the pointer of the mouse. Can you see? temp.class.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so we were having this source code file temp.java. But the moment I compiled it, I got another file, temp.class. This is my bytecode file. This is what makes Java platform independent. Now, if this bytecode file is there, you can execute this bytecode file on any type of platform. Okay, so the moment you compile the Java program, you will get this .class file. Now we have to execute this .class file. So how we will execute? We will write Java. What is the name of the .class file?
C. Template.
So what is the message it is printing? Hello,
Hello, batch
batch
4
4
people.
Whatever I have written inside the program, that it will print. Okay, so you don't have to remember this. Just I'm telling you at a very, very basic level how we do the Java development. We write a source code file, number one step. Let me write in the chat box. Step one is write the program. What is the step two? Save it with .java extension. Then step 3 is compile it. And how we compile it? With the command javac and file name. Then step 4, we have to execute the .class file. Execute it. How to execute? Just write Java and name of class file. Is these 4 steps clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this is the Eclipse IDE and this is the text editor area where I have written some program, the same program which we just executed through Notepad. Okay, so there we were running so many commands for compiling, for executing. Here you don't have to do all those things. Just, can you see this green button?
Yes, ma'am.
Just you have to click on that. My system is very slow. I hope your system is fine. So it will execute fast. Hello batch 4, because I executed it 2 times. Okay. So this is the comfort level of IDE, that you don't have to go into the complicated steps of compiling a Java program by writing one command and executing it. All those things you don't have to do. This is your text editor. Just simply write the code here. Now you can see the file option. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
See, if I go to new option, there are certain options that I can get. Creating a new Java project, package, class, interface, enum, annotation, source folder, Java working set, folder, all these things you will get. Okay. All these options are there. If you don't understand anything, you can go to the welcome screen, or help content is also there. So what is the task that I'll give you today is, those who are having systems, they have to install Eclipse, and you don't have to do anything. You just have to install Eclipse and you don't have to do anything. What you have to do, just make yourself comfortable with the environment. Explore the options it is offering. For example, if I want to create a new class, see, if I'll go to class, what I clicked on creating a new class. So it will ask me where you want to create this class. So I want to create this class in batch 4 folder, in source code folder. Okay. Now see, if I want to include main method, okay, main method is required, right? So instead of writing the main method, I can simply tick on this option, public static void main. So it will automatically give you the main method written. And what is the name of the class? I want to name my class as demo. Just click on finish. And you will see that a demo class will be created. Can you see? Demo.java. You don't have to worry about the extensions also. Eclipse will take care of all those things. And in this demo class, the class has already been created. The main method has already been written. So it's nothing special. These features are there on all the IDEs. Why we are using Eclipse is we have NetBeans also. We have Eclipse also. And usually whenever we learn Java, we start the initial few days on Notepad programming. But this course is outcome-based course. What is the outcome of this course? I want my batch students to be placed in Capgemini. So your syllabus and where you have to execute the programs has to be decided by Capgemini. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So
Yes.
today's task is
Yes, ma'am.
to install Eclipse and explore the options that are available on Eclipse. It's not mandatory that you need to know each and every feature. Okay, even I don't know each and every feature. But as and when we will be working on Java programs, we should be knowing how to do what to do.